This video will contain spoilers for the entirety of InFamous Festival of Blood. Viewer discretion is advised. I vividly remember the now infamous 2011 PlayStation Network outage. Coming home every day hoping I'd finally get to play online again on some of my favourite games at the time, such as Little Big Planet. I still remember coming home every day after school, listening to my brother complain that he couldn't play Modern Warfare online. But the day finally comes where we watch as we finally connect to the internet once more, with my brother promptly throwing me into the air. Times were a lot simpler back then. But we were also gifted 2 free games as a result, one of which being InFamous. I also remember there being Little Big Planet and Ratchet & Clank Quest for Booty, games which I had already had. I particularly remember my dad choosing InFamous for me, thinking I'd like whatever was in store within. What I was greeted with was nothing but a top-tier power fantasy, taking control of a living battery in the form of Cole McGrath, exploring the remains of Empire City, a massive map sprawling with goons to test your newfound powers on, ranging from electrical grenades to shockwaves. The game even featured a karma system, letting you be the bad guy for once, a concept so wild to me at the time of playing. All at the premium frame rate of less than 10 frames, though I didn't really care at the time. This is to say, I love InFamous, even still today after revisiting it through emulation on modern hardware. And my addiction to this new world was only deepened as a child when I discovered there is already a sequel in the works, set to come out less than a month away after finishing the first game. I still remember playing one of those 2-hour demos from the PlayStation Store, which was essentially just a whole game restricted to a 2-hour time limit. My hype was through the roof, and I wanted it bad. Picking up shortly after the events of InFamous 1, InFamous 2 once again puts you in the shoes of Cole McGrath, as he prepares to tackle the beast by gaining new powers in newcomer. But before anything, the beast shows up early, and before you can even acclimatise, you're thrust into a battle with your strongest opponent yet. The stakes were higher than ever, the visuals more impressive, and the gameplay more intuitive. InFamous 2 had taken what had made InFamous 1 so special, improved upon it, and tackled some of the major flaws that plagued the first game, such as its poor performance, rigid animations, and an overall bland colour palette. InFamous 2 takes the comic book style of the first games and turns it up to 11, featuring a much brighter and livelier city in the form of newcomer, a departure from the grey puddle of Empire City. Characters are more memorable, karma is more thought through, and powers are expanded upon. It's safe to say, the pair of InFamous games exceeded my expectations, especially considering InFamous was a free game I just so happened to receive, thanks to a chance coincidence by my dad. So, imagine my surprise when I find InFamous Festival of Blood on the PlayStation Network a month later, a standalone DLC just released in time for Halloween. But the thing is, I don't remember much of InFamous Festival of Blood looking back, and I don't recall having nearly as much hype for it compared to the now legendary InFamous 2. Maybe it was the fact I knew it would be a smaller experience, like Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare, though even that was a still major part of my childhood. Even then, I just don't see anyone talking about Festival of Blood anymore, and I always just assumed it was a result of Festival of Blood's redundant nature. After all, it was a non-canon experience with our beloved Cole McGrath as a gothic bloodsucker, with very few returning characters from InFamous 2, like Quo and Nix. Today, we're going to be revisiting Festival of Blood, and learn if it deserved its position as the black sheep of the PS3 collection, and whether it still holds up today, despite its existence as a small-scale product compared to its brothers.
Beer, please.
Make it 2. On me.
I'm perfectly capable of buying my own beer, thank you.
Good. Glad to hear that. You can get the next round. You are not from around here, are you?
What makes you say that?
I would have recognized such a beautiful pair of eyes.
Maybe you were too busy reading your kitty books to notice.
This? Oh, this is no kiddie book. This is research.
Yeah, I guess I'll just have to owe you that next round.
Hey, I'm being serious. Now, there's some freaky deaky shit going on out there. What kind of shit make you piss your pants? This book here teaches you how to deal with it.
Okay.
You know my buddy Cole McGrath? He used to make fun of it too.
The Cole McGrath?
One and only.
The demon of Empire City.
That's what they call him.
You know Cole McGrath.
Know him? He's like a brother to me. A brother from another mother. In fact, it's this here kitty book, as you call it, that helped me save him from eternal damnation.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more.
Well, you know about Pyre Night?
Can't say that I do.
Oh, man. I knew you weren't from around here. Every Pyre Night, the folks in New Marais go certifiably apeshit. They put on costumes, build big old bonfires in the streets, and dance around them till sunup. Me and my boy, we were there for the last one. We couldn't even get a beer before folks started howling out for help from beneath the church.
Festival of Blood starts out with an introduction from Best Boy Zeke, attempting to talk up someone at a bar. Failing to use his Dunbar charm, he retorts to recounting his tales of Pyre Night, or more importantly, Cole's tales of Pyre Night, a Halloween-themed festival that took place in New Marais. More importantly, the night where Cole became a vampire from the now resurrected Bloody Mary. You'll notice right off the bat that the characterization is as strong as ever with InFamous Festival of Blood, building off of the traits Cole and Zeke would develop throughout the story of InFamous 2. Cole is his usual sassy self, worrying more about being made into a sailor boy by Mary than his soon-to-be eternal servitude. Meanwhile, Zeke proves himself to be reliable time and time again, assisting Cole no matter the risks, and this will become prevalent as the story continues throughout Festival of Blood.
Circles, I swear, man, this is a setup.
Yeah, I gotta go for it, Zeke. If I don't whack Mary in the next few hours, I'm gonna be her puppet. She threatened to dress me up in a sailor outfit, Zeke.
The presentation of Festival of Blood sets itself apart from its predecessors, capturing the vibes of spreading stories around the campfire. New Marais is permanently nighttime, and standard use lighting has been cut back to feature alternative lighting such as additional torches and bonfires. Massive balloons hover over rooftops, and you can immediately tell that this is unlike any other event in New Marais. Festival of Blood seems to also feature a filter unique to the standalone DLC, making Cole's orange lightning pop out more so than ever before. You are given control almost immediately, and presented with the Catacombs, a new area which consists of winding tunnels and tight rooms, a departure from the normally open areas featured in traditional InFamous. You're tasked with healing citizens that got lost throughout the Catacombs, until you come across a swarm of bats leading you deeper and deeper, bringing you face to face with a vampire posing as an injured civilian. You're treated to a comic book cutscene, a staple of the InFamous series at this point, featuring the resurrection of the infamous Bloody Mary, thanks to the consumption of Cole's conduit blood. In return, she gives Cole immortality, with Mary turning him into a vampire. You quickly learn that come sunrise, you will lose any semblance of free will, and become Mary's vampiric minion forever. Obviously, Cole does not take this well, and pursues Bloody Mary in a frantic chase throughout the Catacombs, using grind rails to keep up the pace. In case you haven't caught on yet, Festival of Blood does not waste any time, and it's honestly refreshing to see after playing modern games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or Red Dead Redemption 2, which take an extraordinary amount of time to get anything done. Festival of Blood's pace is quick, but not too quick where you lose sight of the story and lose engagement. You're introduced to one of the core enemy variants featured throughout the DLC, the standard vampire. Aesthetically, these guys fit the environment perfectly, and the dialogue is pure cheese, screaming random words as you send them to their graves. Gameplay wise, these guys aren't anything too special, though it does introduce you to the mechanic of staking. Instead of enemies outright dying occasionally like in InFamous 1 and 2, vampires will always be left alive. However, options like Bioleech and Arc Restraint have been cut from Festival of Blood, likely due to the lack of a karma system. Instead, you can run up to fallen enemies and stake them with your new replacement for the amp, a coffin lid featuring wood and a cross. Staking enemies grants progress to unlocking new powers, and later refilling your blood meter, but I'll touch on this later. Escaping the Catacombs, you are formally introduced to Pyre Night's New Marais, along with giving you your first vampiric power, Vampiric Flight. Using your new blood meter, fueled by drinking the blood of citizens, you can fly through the map in a manner reminiscent to the traversal options granted in InFamous Second Son. While this power is welcome and a new take on the traversal in the PS3 collection, it does take away the viability of your other movement options, and usually makes you rely on this new ability. A nice touch of the DLC is that you can also see Bloody Mary roaming through New Marais herself. Though, attempting to attack her, she'll strip you of your battery cores temporarily, similar to the Tar in InFamous 1. It is a shame to see that the DLC doesn't fully explore the moral angle of Cole's actions in Pyre Night, and often falls back onto the angle that what Cole did was necessary to save the lives of the greater population. Though, the lack of an overall karma system does give the player freedom to truly explore and experiment with the new systems introduced here, so it can go either way with how you feel about it. Along with giving unhindered access to the majority of New Marais, you were introduced to new side activities such as destroying vampire packs, and using your new vampiric sight to find vampires hiding in plain sight amongst the crowds. Partaking in these side activities will reward you with upgraded powers, such as replacing your basic bolt with an improved version of the Magnet Bolt from InFamous 2, and eventually trophies along the way. The original upgrade system from InFamous 2 was shelved in favour of this approach, and in my eyes, it works just fine, though it can get a little repetitive doing the same thing over and over, especially considering you need to buy at least 100 civilians for one trophy. Also gone are blast shards, with their replacement being in the form of jars of blood, which increase your max blood meter, allowing you to fly for longer periods of time. There are plenty of these scattered across the map, and they can be more easily seen via vampire vision. Also gone are dead drops, which have been replaced with Mary's teachings, discovered by following hints in vampire vision. These teachings feature voice clips of Mary recounting her experiences after being resurrected thanks to Cole. While none of these were truly necessary, it does add to the world building and makes the game feel more like a complete package.
Come on and let me take you all back in time, friends. Back to the early days of New Marais. The streets of our town were filled with laughter, and the people were full of hope. Until folks started disappearing from the streets at night. Only one man, Father Ignatius, was brave enough to walk in the shadows, hunting for the devil who would harm his flock. And it was from the shadows that he spotted her, a vile woman, feeding on a man's flesh. And as fast as a thought, she was gone, taking refuge in the crypts beneath the city. That very night, Ignatius rallied his fearful parish to action, leading the way down into the crypts. And as they came upon the nest of sinners, he held aloft his holy barbed cross, and the sinners scattered like cockroaches from its holy light. But their leader, Bloody Mary, she wasn't fast enough. Ignatius brought her up before his church and tied her to a pile, and as flames licked at her heels, the devil woman revealed her true form while shouting out a curse, vowing that one day she'd return and take her revenge. And what happened to Ignatius, you ask? Well, he's still with us, my friends, buried in St. Charles Cemetery, right alongside his barbed cross. And that's why we burn, my friends, to warn Bloody Mary's ghost and all the other sinners of this world to stay clear of New Marais. You can dance, sing, and walk the streets, 'cause nothing, and I mean nothing, is gonna eat you on Pyre Night.
Following Zeke's recommendation to look around central locales, you learn some of the backstory of Pyre Night through Gothic-themed comic strips, discovering that Bloody Mary was defeated once in the past via a barbed cross created by Father Ignatius, a priest who was tasked with overseeing Mary's health when she was still human. It's soon discovered that he was buried alongside his cross in New Marais, and so Cole heads over to the graveyard, discovering that he was just a bit too late.
The box was empty. The only thing inside were notes about how the cross was made. Oh, and Lord, did Ignatius get that thing made. The core was made of sacred wood. No joke. Edged in silver from King Solomon's temple, dipped in holy water from the Vatican, and blessed by the big guy himself. It was the ultimate bloodsucker slayer. and it was still out there somewhere. And if my buddy was gonna take down Mary, he'd need that weapon. Trouble was, he just had one night to find it.
Following this, you're tasked with finding a barbed cross for yourself, pursuing several leads which Zeke contacts you about. For one, you're tasked with following a vampire across the map and into the catacombs, though this later proves to be a bust. Following this, you attempt to search for the cross in the catacombs once again, using vampire sight to uncover secret rooms and learning of Mary's plan to use phosphorus bombs to destroy New Marais. This culminates in exploring Mary's catacombs, where you would learn about Mary's past. When Mary was given a choice by a vampire to either die alone or become immortal, Mary would accept the vampire's offer and become one herself, and later his lover. Father Ignatius would plot to kill her lover to break Mary beyond return, to put an end to the series of crimes, though this would only enrage her and cause her to raise an army of vampires, forcing Ignatius into hiding.
The things inside Mary's trunk told her story. As a governess, man, she was great with kids. Unfortunately, one of them gave her smallpox. She was all but dead when a secret admirer decided that she was too beautiful to slip away. Reborn as a vampire, Mary was always at Marco's side. Two of them drank their way through Europe, never bothering to watch the shadows. But you see, the same priest that had been with Mary at her deathbed, he had never given up on her. And he knew that killing Mary's maker would turn her back into a human. But he didn't know that that trick only worked on a vampire's first night. With Marco dead, she flew into a rage. And it was then Father Ignatius learned just how terrifying those monsters could be. Poor fella ran for it. Spent the next 37 years just one step ahead of Mary. But on the edge of the new world, in New Marais, she finally caught up to him. With nowhere left to run, Ignatius moved quick. Gathered the townsfolk together and struck first. Well, you know the rest.
When Ignatius would later arrive in New Marais, he would be forced to convince the people to stand up against Bloody Mary, after she followed him there looking for revenge, ultimately resulting in a temporary death. Zeke later contacts Cole concerning a vampire with the cross doing circles around New Marais, pointing out that it's almost definitely a trap. However, with the clock ticking and Cole's time running out, he has no choice but to pursue the vampire. After a chase through the scenery of New Marais, Cole finally takes down the vampire and takes the barbed cross for himself, attaching it to its makeshift weapon.
Damn. This thing's... Damn.
Just getting near that cross made Cole's undead skin crawl and itch. It was powerful, all right. Just the thing to end Mary and her kin.
The barbed cross showcases its strength immediately, as it allows you to defeat ordinary vampires in one melee hit, without needing to stake them. Though this has the consequence of making the staking challenge more tedious post-cross, so it's worth considering doing this challenge before the mission. If you think I've rushed through the story, then that's just because the story itself is extremely fast-paced. The game itself does not take time to settle down after missions, and this is more evident when playing for yourself, though I will cover this towards the end of the video. Like the games before it, the final mission of Festival of Blood puts your skills to the test, as the final missions push your traversal skills by having you chase down Bloody Mary through the streets. Reading this back, I've realised that Festival of Blood is very fun with these chases. After chasing down Bloody Mary and dealing enough damage to her, you'll be forced into a small arena within the catacombs, flooded with water. Although, I unfortunately must admit that this section is one of Festival of Blood's weakest moments, as it goes on for far too long and doesn't give you a true final boss, despite Bloody Mary attacking you several times throughout the sequence. Though InFamous 2 also had an issue with the lackluster bosses, and a lack of bosses in general. The way you're intended to tackle this last section is to blast the water with electricity as vampires come running towards you, buying time for Zeke to rig up the foundations of Mary's white phosphorus bombs. Apart from the occasional visit from Mary, this is really all there is to this section. A disappointing end to an otherwise great standalone DLC.
Let's get out of here! Detonators are all set! Oh, shit, Cole. The sun. Hurry up! We get out of this hole, and I'll torch it!
You feel it now? Oh, you're mine, vampire. Forever.
Follow my voice! Come on, man. I'll see you through. Come on, man. That's it!
No! No!
Shit. Yep, it was one hell of a pirate night. And you know, all those folks would have become bloodsuckers if it wasn't for me. Oh, come on now, that's true.
Oh, no.
It's mostly true.
Really?
There are parts of that story that are absolutely true.
Well, you're a hell of a liar, mister. Got any other tricks up the sleeve?
Yeah. We could go back to my place. I could show you what I do with a feather.
Ooh.
An electric toothbrush.
See,
And a-
perfect. Knew I'd find you here. Listen, ran into a little bit of a problem.
Hey.
I dropped my amp into a pool
Cole.
and...
Cole. Kind of busy here.
Ooh.
Man.
Not bad.
I'll do it. I'd love to go for a swim. Especially on a hot night like tonight.
Rather...
Oh, no. Lead the way.
Yeah. Guys, go ahead. These beers aren't gonna drink themselves.
Thanks for the story, Zeke. Very educational.
Oh, shit!
The ending itself is also rather lackluster, with Mary being defeated and Cole being cured of his vampirism thanks to Zeke's use of the phosphorus bombs. The final cutscene is entertaining though, as Cole ends up accidentally cucking his best friend. Sorry Zeke, you didn't need her anyway. Quick jump scares of the woman being a vampire and that's the end. Well, kind of. InFamous Festival of Blood places a large emphasis on its user-generated content, dubbed as UGC by the game, a returning feature from InFamous 2. Festival's iteration of UGC features improved features such as being able to make custom comic strips, featuring characters from the game. Sucker Punch also included UGC missions created by the development team, to show off the capabilities of the system and to help improve the runtime of the game. Alongside that, completing multiple UGC missions rewards you with more powerful upgrades and eventually a brand new skin for Cole. While I would love to cover more on UGC, I was unfortunately unable to partake in it this playthrough due to playing on an emulator. One thing I did find interesting is that you can't get access to Sucker Punch's pre-made missions, despite them having some interesting topics such as the morality argument for Cole drinking blood. It is sad to think that if the service for UGC ever went down, we'd be forever missing out on valuable content in an already content-starved game. Sadly, there is something really important I have to address. Festival of Blood is short. Like, really short. On my first playthrough via emulation, I beat the game within an hour and a half, and that was including partaking in some of the side content. UGC content would definitely bump up this runtime, along with going for every collectible trophy, but unfortunately it's still too far short to be satisfying. Upon finishing Festival of Blood, it just left me wanting more, and considering that this was the last time we'd ever get to experience playing as fan favourite Colmograph, it did leave a sour taste after completion. However, for the small price of around £7, Festival of Blood is still a must play for any InFamous fan in my opinion. It takes what InFamous 2 does well and expands on it while giving players a fresh experience to sink their teeth into. Funnily enough, Festival of Blood seems to be the most well-balanced InFamous game of the PS3 trilogy. While playing the previous games, I had lots of this game sucks moments. With Festival of Blood though, I never felt it was unfair, even when playing on the hardest difficulty. I will also add, if you have a powerful PC that can run RPCS3 well, I would really recommend emulating it, even if you are missing out on some of the content. Replaying the Infamous games with improved visuals and performance has been a lot of fun, and has reminded me of what makes these games so fun to play. Otherwise, the original PS3 version is a great way to experience Festival of Blood. Or you can use Sony's streaming services, which is probably the way I would not recommend playing it, but it is still an option. If you managed to stick around till the end of the video, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me ramble about a vampire superhero game. I truly am grateful. If you have any recommendations about what you wanted to cover next, be sure to leave a comment, and if you enjoyed the video and want to support me, be sure to just leave a like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.